Tune in to www.OGHUSKEYRADIO.com. Man, straight up, I'm gonna be straight up. Like, doing these interviews, we come across a lot of artists, and I respect a lot of artists, but cats like this fool right here, man, to be able just to know somebody that could fucking send out a smoke signal, and you know what I mean, and no internet, no phone call, nothing. We could get a cat like this up in here. Put it to you like this: we could, within this, we could see someone up, and we could be like, "Who is this? This dude's putting in work. We need to, like, you know, who is this?" And other people don't have that opportunity, so we abuse it a little bit too much. But with that, man, go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
Hey, what's up? Gleasone.
Go ahead and spell it, man. That's
Gleas, Gleasone.
And if y'all don't know what element he represents, what do you prefer to bomb?
For me, like, the greatest thing in the world to bomb is like a brick wall or like a center block wall that don't have a tag on it. To me, that's like the dopest shit you can do in graphics. Catch a fresh wall that's never been touched before.
Do you use more paint though, because there's no buffer? Do you?
Yeah, no doubt. Well, brick soaks it up real bad, and center block, that same thing, you know. But to me, there's nothing like more rewarding in graph than hitting a wall that's never been touched by another writer.
How long is your career, dog? Like, how long you been doing this?
For me, I got started late. I was like already in my late 20s when I started writing, and I only been writing about like 4 or 5 years now.
Trip the fuck out. It's damn, dog. It's not dead then, right? Like, oh, the people that are out there trying to keep it alive are the same fucks that were in 8th and 9th grade on the buses and shit. Like, that shit's not true, right? Well, at least for you.
I mean, for me, the thing was I grew up like skateboarding, right? But I didn't really know like a lot of writers growing up, because I kind of grew up in the suburbs and shit. And when I was older, I started coming into the city when I was young, like a teenager, and I'd see graffiti and I loved that shit.
Yeah.
I had an appreciation for it, but I didn't really like have knowledge of graph really. And then later on in my life, living in LA and stuff, I met up with some writers. It was like Rez, SA10 crew, Extend from WFD, Gasso from MTA, A-Nice MTA, fools like that, Care from UTK. And so these guys, you know, right from the get-go, they had already, the fools I was trying to like just get started with, they'd already been putting in work for years, so they'd set like a high bar for me, you know, just in terms of like trying to step my game up when I had some garbage ass lettering and no can control. All those guys were cool. They just kept encouraging me and told me to stick to it.
What was it about you that do you think they saw something, or like?
Well, like for me, like graph, like just like in life in general, like character matters to me. You know what I mean? And I guess the guys that I roll with, I suppose it's like the same kind of thing. They just
because the cats you're rolling with, they're like some heavy hitters, dog. You know what I mean when it comes to that. So
yeah. And
I mean, to take you under the wing, man, and then
yeah. Well, yeah, like Rez, SA10, and Extend from WFD, no doubt for sure. Like. And in terms of the bombing, like they're the first ones that really put me up on game and kind of gave me a chance. Cause like with graph, you know, like in a way, there's in a way like anybody can pick up a can and do graffiti, and that's one thing I love about it. But on the other end, it's like you have to be like initiated into graph, because there's like certain tricks of the trade. You know what I mean? That like you're not gonna be able to like learn that by watching a video tutorial, or like you could study technique and aesthetics and letter form all you want, but there's certain tricks of the trade when it comes down to going out at night and risking everything and trying to find a good spot and trying not to get caught up by the hood,
why do you do it?
Else.
Why do you do it?
For me, it's just like a rush.
Because it's always, oh, well, it's disenfranchised kids in the barrios and shit, and in the ghettos, this and that. Like, nah, you grew up in the burbs, you came out, you seen it, you respect it, and you learned it. But the people that are successful in it, and you see and that are getting the fame, though, do have the history, like, and know the rules, the quote-unquote rules.
Yeah, no doubt.
So why do you do it?
For me, like, I don't know, it's a rush for sure going out and painting, but it's just like it's just like a form of expression too, you know, like and it's
Are you rebelling against anything?
well, I mean, it's definitely like an assault on private property to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Because
growing up,
that's
growing
an
up,
element of it. But
growing up in the burbs is like, yeah, my dad bought me a Corvette, and I really wanted the Lamborghini.
well,
so
that wasn't my life.
I'm gonna go and I'm gonna write on everything. Fight the power. No,
Well,
that's like the misconception and
yeah,
shit. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Nah, well, it wasn't like that for me. I mean, honestly, some of the guys, I don't want to give too much away here, but
Yeah,
like,
yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's one thing too.
But-
Like, just so you guys, anyone listening out there,
but
I mean, these are active cats. So I mean, so
Yeah,
we're skating on thin ice, and we know that and shit. So
I mean, yeah, I would say definitely it's like a working class art form, you know, when you really boil it down, and it's like that's kind of like what I was saying too about, in a way, like somebody has to take you under their wing and kind of show you the ways of graph, like, and so in the way that it's passed kind of from one generation to the next, it's kind of like a folk art in that way or whatever. But
what are the rules as you know them?
well, for me, it's just like the basics are like, you know, throw ups go over tags, bombs go over throw ups, and so on. But for me too, like, you know, I always try to avoid going over fools. I mean, I try to be an all-around writer, you know, so I try to tag, I try to bomb, I try to do my occasional, you know, pieces, do a dope color scheme and whatever.
Let me just reiterate, because I might put that shit on a shirt and sell it. I try not to go over anybody.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, why even just avoid it
Well,
all
for
in
me,
general and
yeah,
shit?
like-
And
yeah, I try not to go over anything. Like, honestly, if there's a fill, like, I'm not really trying to fuck with that wall, you know what I'm saying? I'm going to go try to, I mean, a yard's a yard, that's one
Yeah.
thing. But for the most part, and you know, certain spots, it's like it's bound to kind of turn into like a yard scenario where there's people going over each other. But for the most part, I try to find fresh spots. I try to, you know, if anything, I might go over tags or a hollow, but I really try not to cap people.
what do you prefer to
but-
do? A two-color? Or-
Yeah, I mostly stick to black and whites. You know, for me, like, I want my, like, for me, I never, honestly, when I started, I just started because it was fun. You know what I mean? And so it wasn't about fame, and I never expected to be anything but a toy. But for me, like, as I progressed, I got a real simple style. You know what I mean? I like simple, legible letters, but I try to go big and bold, and I try to have like an effect. I want my pieces to have a presence. I want you to be able to spot it from like 3 blocks away if possible. You know
Well,
what I mean?
they are. You're doing that part of it really fucking good, dog.
And then, you know, you try to add a little flavor, a little funk, try to add some flow to your letters, add your own style, whatever. But for me, that's what it's about.
No Instagram, no Facebook, and that's when you know you're dealing with an active cat and shit. Because everybody will come in here like, oh no, I'm not, you know what I mean, blah blah. But cats that are really active ain't trying to fuck with that at all. So I mean, look on the street, or there's ways on the internet to find it. GLEASONE. And why no crews, man? I mean, I'm sure like cats got to be hitting you up. You know, when they see the fresh spots, like, I didn't even see that spot before.
Yeah. Well, for me, like, I mean, I don't want to get into it too deep, but for me, I prefer to just do my thing, paint, hit up the homies that have, you know, influenced me, like the homie Liquid, once I linked up with him. That's like one of the more dedicated writers I ever, you know, met. So once I linked up with Liquid, it was like we were out there pretty constant. But just in general, try to hit up all the homies that have either influenced me in one way or another with my graph, or just encouraged me, kept me going. Alex from WFD, REC too, you know, all the other fools I already mentioned earlier in the interview. So I prefer to just hit up the dudes that I have a personal connection with, you know what I mean? So a lot of these crews got a gang of people, like a huge list of fools on the squad, and I respect that. There's a lot of crews I really respect.
Yeah.
But for me right now, that's just the way I prefer to roll.
But
you know what I mean?
you don't go on solo missions for the most part though.
Nah, I actually mostly I'm painting with somebody else, you know,
Okay.
whether it was Extend, WFD, Liquid, REC, MTA, A-Nice, MTA, you know, but yeah.
Well, keep up the good work, man. And
Yeah.
when it's all said and done, and you feel there's nobody out there that appreciates the hard work and risk you take, just remember that we here at OG Husky Radio, man, we fucking got mad love for everything you do, dog. Like, straight up. And you know, you guys are the true defenders of hip hop, homie. Like,
Yeah.
I ain't gonna go to jail for talking on this fucking mic, dog. And I mean, Top Rank's cutting up records like a motherfucker, but he ain't risking, you know what I mean, probation, felony charges. Well, that's for some other shit, but he does that on the weekends, homie. Y'all already know. Nah, but man, keep up the good work, man. Thanks for coming through, man.
Thanks for having me.
OGHUSKEYRADIO.com. Stay posted. More interviews to come.